your work has really fascinated me for a while for a number of reasons. You grew up, came up Christian like I did, and at some point you started questioning, your faith and the things that you had believed and been told.
Yep.
I resonated with that. Your approach in what you do now on your YouTube channel to me is unique on a couple of levels. First, you've got a background in graphic art, and so you brought that to bear, right? And you draw yourself and animate yourself.
I do. All those things are true so far.
Yeah, stop me when I say, I'll just keep going until I say something false. But also, the other thing I've noticed is you make videos specifically countering the claims of Christians. And my impression of your approach is that it's always very measured and thoughtful and researched and in non-sensationalist. Like I never get the sense from your work that you're out to like destroy someone, like Ben Shapiro destroys,
right.
But or even like I've never heard you use the word debunked, like that kind of thing.
No.
My impression of your work is always like, hey, here's what so-and-so is saying. Let's actually take a look at that and take that seriously. Let's not just mock it. Let's take a look at it and see how it stands up. And very often, some of the issues that you deal with and take a look at it doesn't seem like the claims of some of these apologists stand up to scrutiny the way that you approach it. And so,
right.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe.
So let me talk about that.
Yes, I was going to say,
so,
I'm sorry, there's no question in there.
That's quite all right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave the graphics. We'll maybe come back to the graphics thing if we care. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about, so my channel, at the time when I started my YouTube channel, I was recently deconverted, as you mentioned. I was recently split from my family. And I was fighting cancer at the time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And at one point, I'd been given only 4 weeks to live, in fact, at one point.
Whoa.
So all of that said, I have 3 children who are theists. And they still are today. And in my head, I knew that at that point in time, they weren't willing to have, and they still aren't, to have these spiritual conversations with me. So my thought was, well, I need a way to put out, in case I'm not around.
Yeah.
I need a way to put out messages for my kids. One of the ways in which to do that, I thought, was YouTube as a tome, a place to put content that could speak to them should I pass, if they ever choose in some time in the future. I know it's all depressing and sad.
No, I actually had no idea.
I'm several years clear.
I had no idea about this aspect of your story.
But so my target audience, and like, it's cool that you as a non-Christian person likes to watch my channel sometimes. That's great if people do. But I'm very clear when I make videos that I'm making videos almost all the time. I've made a couple of cheeky ones, but almost all the time, my audience is who I was 5 years ago.
Right.
Would I, as a Christian, have watched this and possibly given it a chance to listen to it? So I can't, therefore, curse in the video, right? Because, as a Christian, as soon as you hear the F word, everything that happens after that,
yeah, you're gonna dismiss it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I need to take completely seriously what I took seriously at the time, and I think that is an advantage that some people like us have in communicating with Christians, is that it's still fresh in our mind to remember what it was like. And so that is my YouTube experts, when they talk about growing a YouTube channel, whatever, they're always like pinpoint. Imagine one person who is the ideal person to watch your video. For me, that is me, who I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that colors really my tone and how seriously I take things, because I took things very seriously when I was a Christian. So if I'm pleased to hear what you said, because it rings true with my actual intent, which is to speak to myself.
That's really interesting. That reminds me of a precept that I learned. So I was in a Christian band for 15 years.
I'm aware.
Yeah, the first 8 years I was the guitar player. Then I became the lead singer. Totally transitioned my role and also the style of the band. I had to learn how to be a front man, which is a for me, it was a learned skill and not one that just came naturally. And one of the precepts that I learned was basically like, if you can engage the person in the back row, you'll get everyone in front of them. And that was what you just said reminded me of that. It's like, pick your person. Am I engaging this person? And you'll gather a bunch of other people along the way. That's a really good way of thinking about it.
Which is why I'm so excited when new people start YouTube channels, because the person that I was is not the same person that a non-binary person is, or that that like all the voices, or even I'm a white Mennonite dude. Fine, there are other white Mennonite dudes who have different takes as well. So I love when there's lots of voices, because so frankly, there is a place for the sarcastic, foul-mouthed person. Mm-hmm. I think there's totally a place for that, because that will reach. George Carlin reached a lot of people.
Yeah. Some people some people in a specific time in their life, they need Christopher Hitchens.
Absolutely. So in no way am I saying that my approach is a correct way. It's just what I've chosen to do, and it fills a little niche. So
and it also feels in character for you, even speaking to you now. I think that's one of the things.
Canadian prairie boys sometimes. We're polite. We say sorry when we bump into someone. Yeah, that's the way that goes.
I mean, that's one of the things that I learned too in the music thing, is that like, you see other people, you're inspired by them. Sometimes there's a level of imitation that sometimes is helpful to get you off the ground, but your best work will be done when you're operating most closely in your sort of your nature, or whatever version of that there is.
Right.